Hello, and welcome back to the Bowtie Bible Guy podcast. Um, so, want to thank you guys for tuning back in, and I want to remind you to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified every time a new episode comes out, and be sure and share this with your friends. I know that this series we have kind of been all over the place, but and I haven't been the most consistent about putting up episodes lately. But we moved to Wednesday mornings. But I still hope you guys are tuning in, and hope you guys are getting something out of this as much as I am. Hope that you guys are sharing this. So, yeah. All right, let's get into it. So, obviously, we discussed last week the various underpinnings of the current social justice movement, and just the many societal evils that they talk about, and I believe that I have a very biblical take on it, and that there are no black lives, there are no white lives, they're just human lives. But anyway, and I think additionally we as Christians should not support the movement. One, well, I'll admit there are injustices in our current system that need to be changed. But my big fear is that there are very unchristian motives, such as we talked about last week, but also the fact that, and this will play out a little later, but as I go through notes that I have here, as we go through those, but as with any country, I truly think that BLM is a Marxist or communist organization. If you don't know what a Marxist is, Marx is the philosopher that created the basis for communism. And so communist philosophies are now commonly known as Marxist philosophies. And it follows a very clear example that you see set throughout every communist movement in countries where the communists find a party that has long been taken advantage of, like rural farmers in the U.S. in Russia, or just various groups like that at least have real or perceived injustices, and they promote communism as the end-all be-all for that. And then additionally, the BLM riots in the summer of 2020 caused $2 billion, billion with a B, $1 billion in damage. Now, this is the most in U.S. history by any riot or protest. And one argument against calling them riots, there were protests. There were some riots and there were protests, BLM and Antifa. But with most movements, like it or not, most movements that are deemed violent are mostly peaceful. And like it or not, even though they were mostly peaceful, there was a lot of damage done to communities by these riots. It's sad. And last week I discussed, obviously, if you're tuning into this video, you probably watched last week and heard what I discussed. Let's get into this week. I want to discuss the ideology that you're supporting as you support BLM. Now, one caveat, I did have to do some digging on this. And any link that I mention in this video will be in the description, and if you want more links on this, just reach out to me. I am more than happy to give that to you. So, before we get any farther, remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share. All right, let's get into it. So, let's break down the 13 main principles that BLM is pushing to achieve social justice in an anti-racist society. Now, I put those in quotation marks for a very important reason. Because social justice, as we talked about last week, really just wants to make a new hierarchy, a new racial hierarchy. And anti-racism just is a different racial hierarchy than we have had for a long time in the country. I truly think that most people within the country treat everyone the same regardless of race. And I think that that's pretty clear with our societal markers. Now, there are things, as with anything, there are changes that could be made to make minorities feel more welcome in the communities. Now, these 13 principles, I did have to do some digging to find, because up until about 8 months ago, they were up on the BLM website, but in this past summer were quietly taken down to hide their true intent. I've seen several videos in which the founders of the organization BLM call themselves Marxist, and BLM, they openly admit that BLM is a Marxist organization, and you'll see pretty clearly once I start reading through these 13 principles. Okay, so the number one principle is restorative justice. And keep in mind, these all are going to sound good on the surface, but that is because they've been tampered with and fancied up by the woke progressives. The first one is restorative justice, and this is a quote. "We are committed to collectively, lovingly, and courageously working vigorously for freedom for all black people and, by extension, all people. As we forge our path, we intentionally build and nurture a beloved community that is bounded together through a beautiful struggle that is restorative, not depleting." So, that on the surface sounds really good, but here's where I have a hang up on that, is that in many cases they are working contrary to, BLM is working contrary to their stated goal of helping black people, because what they focus primarily on and what they were founded on, police brutality, it's a farce. I'm not saying there are not racist police officers. I know people that even me as a white male would be uncomfortable being pulled over by, just because I know them personally, and I would not be comfortable as a white male being pulled over by them. But that is a very small problem, as we looked at last week, compared to a lot of the other problems that BLM completely ignores. If they really wanted to help black people, they would target Planned Parenthood. And the event that started the Hands Up, Don't Shoot Michael Brown Ferguson, Missouri. I can give you a really informative video. I believe it is linked in the description on that case. But basically, what they were founded on, it was a totally legal use of force, and one that was warranted because Michael Brown was clearly trying to harm the officer. And he never said, hands up, don't shoot. He was more than likely high. And this week, the trial of Derek Chauvin will be getting underway. It's a mockery of a trial. If you look at it, it truly is a mockery of a trial, in that while it is tragic that a man had to die, incredibly tragic that he died, but if you actually look at the incidences that led up to the infamous video that you have seen many times on the news, he was 3 sheets to the wind on 3 or 4 drugs. And a medical examiner's report clearly has laid out that he was killed by the drugs in his system. And so I don't really have a hang up on that one. It's just that, at least how it's worded, but I don't really think it is exactly how it's worded. Second one, empathy. We are committed to practicing empathy. We engage our comrades, true intentions. We engage our comrades with the intent to learn about and connect with their context. No, they don't. No, they don't. They want to push their worldview and what they see and their feelings as fact. And as one person that I very much enjoy listening to says, facts don't care about your feelings. And when your feelings are contrary to facts, you might want to re-examine your feelings. Not trying to be callous or anything, but it's the truth. And as the truth will set you free. So, yeah, no. This is just a bunch of hooky. Just a bunch of hooky. That's what it is. I'm sorry, but no. And the third one's the same way. Loving engagement. We are, in quotes, we are committed to embodying and practicing justice, liberation, and peace in our engagements with one another. No. $2 billion in damage this summer to, in many cases, black neighborhoods. Yes, black neighborhoods. Shows this clearly is a bunch of hooky. Thank you, BLM and Antifa. Anyway. Number 4, diversity. Quote, we are committed to acknowledging, respecting, and celebrating differences and commonalities. No, they're not. No, this again, bunch of hooky. No. You basically want to mow over white people and disadvantage the crap out of them. I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. And you want to promote blacks and create a new racial hierarchy rather than, just treating everyone the same. And it's not diversity of ideas. That's the big problem that I have with the modern diversity push, is that it's not true diversity. It's appearance of diversity, but everyone that you parade as diverse is just a carbon copy of the same ideals with just a few appearance differences. True diversity is diversity of ideas. Yeah. I don't know what to say. It's just no. They don't celebrate it, because if they did celebrate it, They would celebrate diverse ideas, such as that of Colin Powell, of Thomas Sowell, of Candace Owens, just to name a few. They would celebrate those people as being independent thinkers rather than just mowing them over. We don't care about them. They don't agree with us, so we're not going to include them. Yeah. Yeah, and globalism. Oh, okay. We see ourselves, quote, we see ourselves as a part of the global black family, and we are aware of the different ways we are impacted or privileged as black folk who live or who exist in different parts of the world, end quote. What? You share very little with anyone in Africa these days. If you just want an example of how different your experience is, you're not a part of the global black community. Many people in Africa don't want a daggum thing to do with Black Lives Matter, and many immigrants from Africa don't want anything to do with Black Lives Matter. Immigrants that are here in the U.S. don't want a daggum thing to do with them. You know what? Because they're full of crap. Okay, and this is where it's a real biblical hang up here. Queer affirming. Yeah, this is where the real biblical hang up comes in. Quote, we are committed to fostering a queer affirming network. When we gather, we do so with the intention of freeing ourselves from the tight grip of heteronormative thinking, or rather the belief that all in the world are heterosexual unless he/she or they disclose otherwise. Identity politics. We're going to be discussing some more about this next week. But with when we talk about political correctness, but there's nothing wrong per se. We live in a supposedly free society. And one that ideally is a free society, a liberal society, a true liberal society, not a leftist society. There is a difference, as Mr. Ben Shapiro likes to point out. There's a difference between liberal, which stands up for personal liberties, and leftist, which is what the political left is. In a truly liberal society, there's nothing wrong with being homosexual. That's fine. That's your right. But that doesn't mean that I have to agree with your lifestyle. That doesn't mean I have to be queer affirming. No. If I don't want my kids, if I don't want to be exposed, or in the future, my kids to be exposed to this, I don't have to expose them to that at a young age. I don't. And I know that sounds, it's fine, whatever you want to do. But that doesn't mean that I have to expose myself on a regular basis to that. And it doesn't mean I have to agree with it just because I think that in a free society you have the right to, doesn't mean I have to agree with the fact that you choose to do it. Yeah. So, yeah. But there's a real biblical hook hang up there, and even, Yeah. I mean, you do have the Catholic Church that came out and said that, homosexual's fine, just because the Pope says it. I mean, a lot of Catholics don't agree with the Pope. I have heard a lot of Catholics that don't agree with the Pope on that. And the Pope is not the be-all, end-all of Christianity, as I love to point out. That, yeah, especially this Pope has kind of gone off the rails. And popes have a real tendency to go off the rails, as history shows us. Number 7, trans-affirming. Quote, we are committed to embracing and making space for trans brothers and sisters to participate and lead. We are committed to being self-reflexive and doing the work required to dismantle cisgender privilege and uplift black trans folk, especially black trans women who continue to be disproportionately impacted by the trans antagonistic violence. End quote. Oh, lovely. So now males are females and females are males. So the Bible's lying when it says that he created them male and female? I'll get more into this next week, obviously. Has been teased multiple times before, we'll be doing an episode on political correctness. One of the best topics of our society today. You can clearly tell I'm saying that with sarcasm, but I'm not going to get into it now, because I have a whole nother episode to get into that. But, I mean, again, it goes against biblical values. That's just, yeah. So, I mean, when you support BLM, whether you know it or not, the organization, you're supporting this. Yeah, that's what you're supporting. Again, in a liberal society, a free society, there's nothing wrong. I mean, I guess you have a right to do that, I guess. But that doesn't mean I have to agree with it. That doesn't mean I have to affirm it. Anyway, collective value. Number 8. Quote, we are guided by the fact that all Black lives matter, regardless of actual or perceived sexual identity, gender expression, economic status, ability, disability, religious beliefs or disbeliefs, immigration status or location. Okay, one word, and that pretty accurately represents any truly liberal society that values personal liberty. If you remove black from that statement, simply all lives matter, and location, well, okay, 3 words removed from that's pretty much the founding principles of every society that truly values liberal personal liberty values, and puts personal liberty in the forefront of policy making. Okay, but I mean, basically, and this has been my issue with Black Lives Matter from the beginning, even when I didn't know that they were a Marxist organization and had all this stuff, is that you're battling racism and supposedly one race of people being put over another race of people. Isn't that kind of what you're doing yourselves when you say Black Lives Matter? I mean, it's a legitimate question. And, they say they fight white supremacy. White supremacy is a fringe, in reality is a very fringe belief in our society. So, okay. Intergenerational, number 9. Quote, we are committed to fostering an international and communal network free from ageism. What in the world is ageism? We believe all people, regardless of age, show up with the capacity to lead and learn. End quote. Okay. Several things. One, I don't know what in the world ageism is. Because as Christians, we are to respect our elders. Even, I at 17 will freely admit that people that are older than I am have a lot more wisdom than I do. Just because they've lived through more things, so they'll have a better knowledge. And I do my best to respect that fact. But, so I don't really know. And the capacity to lead and learn, okay. I don't know. I personally have grandparents that are in their 80s. My mom's mom is in a nursing home. My dad's father really should be in a nursing home. Yeah, they're not mentally all there. I mean, I wouldn't trust I don't necessarily would trust either of them to drive me anywhere. Now, they can still get around fine. They still keep up on their they can still keep up on their personal hygiene relatively on their own, but mentally they're not all there. They're just not all there. They're in their 80s. They have lived great lives. They're great people. But they're not all there mentally. And no. And then there's a certain age, once you get about 65, okay, you should retire. I mean, you're just you've earned retirement. Go retire. Go have some fun before you're in a nursing home and you die. I mean, I'm just saying that's how it goes. But they're still incredibly wise. But there's a certain age when, one, you shouldn't be leading people. You probably shouldn't be driving, because you're just not all mentally there. I mean, deteriorate. I mean, we've naturally gotten to where we live longer, but we're not Methuselah. We're not going to live 1,000 years. Majority of people don't even make it to 100. Majority of people don't even make it to 90. So, I mean, we're all playing on borrowed time, but I mean, once you hit like 75, you're definitely playing on borrowed time. You can go anytime. So, yeah, and you kind of start slipping mentally, and it's different for people with every age, but it just defies common sense. So, I mean, that's my big thing. Black families. Okay, this is kind of contradicted by one, and you'll kind of see once I roll from 10 into 11 why this is quite laughable. Black families. Quote, "We are committed to making our spaces family friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children." Wait, what? So there's a world in which you might not allow parents to fully engage with their children? Isn't that what parents are supposed to do? I don't know. I've never had kids on my own, but I'm pretty sure that's what parents are supposed to do. Allow? Really? You need permission to do that? What? I digress. We are committed to dismantling the patriarchal practice. What? That requires mothers to work, quote, double shifts. That require them to mother in private even as they participate in justice work. Okay. fathers are pretty important. I've learned a lot from my dad. Dismantling the patriarchy that forces mothers to do what? Last I checked, it was still a personal choice for mothers to work outside of the house. Perfectly fine if you want to have a job outside of the house, but and males, you know. But still, even if you have a job, your number one priority should still be your children. Now, maybe that's just like totally backwards. Because, you know, let's be, I mean, my parents were both in their 40s when I was born. And I'm an only child. So, you know, I could have a messed up view here, but I'm pretty sure that the number one job of parents is supposed to be their kids, and then their, well, yeah, I mean, they're, you know, God and their family should be their top priorities, and then, you know, your worldly job should follow, even though you know, might need your job to provide. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. Okay, and this is where I kind of find number 10 laughable, because number 11 is black villages. Quote, "We are committed to disrupting the Western prescribed nuclear family." Oh, that evil nuclear family where you have father, mother, and children, like it should be. That evil nuclear family. Wow. Structure that requirement by supporting each other as extended families and villages that collectively care for one another, especially for our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable. So fathers don't have a say, because mothers and children and parents and children, and what are we living in, a 60s commune? What? No, the Western prescribed nuclear, and this is why I say Black Lives Matter really don't care about black people. Doesn't care about black people, because if you really cared about black people, and if you really cared about people in general, you would push people to get married, then have kids, or if you have kids together, get married. Just easier that way, and it turns the kids out for the better. Because a lot of what is happening now socially is because single motherhood rates are at all-time highs in this country. And it's, no, I'm not going to go any further because I'm kind of running out on time here. Number 12, unapologetically black. Quote, "We are unapologetically black in our positioning in affirming that Black Lives Matter. We need not qualify our position. To love and desire freedom and justice for ourselves is a necessary prerequisite to wanting the same for others." Okay, again, I'm going to come back to it. One, they're basically saying black lives more important than all others right now. We need to make blacks more important than whites. This is just, it's so messed up. So messed up. Black women, number 13. This is the last one, number 13. "We are committed to building a black woman affirming space free from sexism, misogyny, and male-centeredness." I think we have a society that's pretty good on that. Or at least we did before before this second and third wave feminism got in the way, and like, women need to be more important than males. We got equal, but women need to be more important than males. I don't even know what to make of this. I don't know what to say. All this is crap, simply crap, and holy crap. No other way to put it. There is no other way to put it. A lot of these simply go against facts. They put feelings over facts when it should be facts over feelings. Because you could feel completely contradictory to fact, and that doesn't do a daggum thing to change the facts. As someone I really like to listen to, Mr. Ben Shapiro, says, and really likes to remind you of this, facts don't care about your feelings. Which is a pretty accurate statement, and one that more people really need to hear. Instead of this, I propose we follow Christ, in whom there is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free. We have been set free as Romans, and as Paul really likes to say, the wages of sin are death, and if you are living for sin, you are a slave to sin. All this wishes to make you a slave of the world and a slave to sin. True liberty, true everything they're going for can be solved by one simple statement. Follow Jesus Christ and what he says. And all these problems will be solved. You know, once you put on Jesus, it's like me when I don't have my glasses on or I don't have contacts in. And then I put on those lenses, corrective lenses, much like putting on Jesus. It gives you a far clearer picture, and one that is far more godly. So instead of following that, let's follow Jesus. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share, and reach out if you have anything. And remember, there's a bunch of links in the description. I would highly encourage all of you to go check those links out. And remember, God bless. Eddington out.